Honestly, forget Snow White. 7 Dwarfs.
Tell that story.
Yeah. It should have been the 7 Dwarfs.
Get rid of Snow White and just put...
Yeah, why don't we just get rid of Snow White?
Yeah.
Who says Snow White's the big character in that movie?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Raising Heights, the podcast where we can all get a little different perspective. We're your hosts.
I'm Zach.
I'm Tori.
Here we go.
Episode
6.
Let's do this. I can't believe we're already at 6.
Yeah.
For everyone who is coming back for episode 6, thank you for being on this journey with us and riding along as we have gone on this new adventure.
Yeah.
And if this is your first time listening or watching, thank you so much for being here. We're stoked to have you. And today we have a really good episode.
I think we do.
Yeah. But before we do that, peak and pit. So we like to do this each week. Our peak and pit of the week, our high and our low. Zachary, what was your pit?
My pit?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really stressed about our landscaping. I can say this.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost springtime. If we're going to plant grass in our backyard, we need to do it now. We need to get a company lined up now. Next thing you know, it's summertime and we're not going to do it till next spring. And I'm just going to be mowing weeds for the next 8 months.
Yeah. And also our backyard is going to turn into a mud pit any day now if we don't get
It's going to be a mud pit. And then in the summertime, it's going to be a dust pit. And then
the dust actually is worse.
Yeah, it's just like we did the shop, we got the patio, and now we need to finish the landscape in between. And right now, springtime is the time to do it.
Yeah. You should get on that.
So that's my pit. But my peak is also at springtime. It's mid-February, but there's starting to be some buds on some of the bushes.
We're hoping we don't have like a here's a freeze in the next couple of weeks, but it has felt like spring around here.
Warming up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's lighter out. We could play out until 6 o'clock.
Yes. Oof, that's a peak for me. That's honestly my peak is the seasonal depression is exiting the chat.
But then the kids can go out and play for longer.
Oh, you did so many cute things with our kids this week too.
Yeah.
If you follow me on social media, you saw it. The baseball.
Oh, yeah.
The baseball outside, Josiah and you hitting the bat on the tee was the highlight of my week for sure.
That was your peak.
Yeah. Also, who gave him permission to just explore the property as he pleases?
You have to be a big boy.
1.5 years old, and he is walking across bridges on his own. And
Josiah is going to love summer this year.
Gosh, he's going to love it.
He's going to want to be naked all the time.
Today, it was only like 55 degrees out today. It was not that warm. That's warm for us Pacific Northwesterners, but that's not that warm.
Yeah.
That kid was out there in a diaper and playing in the puddles.
Yeah.
He was like, let me at it. I'm playing outside. He didn't care.
Loved it.
He's going to have fun in the summertime.
He's going to have way fun.
Skip my pit. I don't have a pit. It was a good week. It was a good week. Yeah, it was a good week. Anyway.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So what are we, this episode, I feel like Zach has been wanting to talk about this for a minute.
I've ranted about this pretty hard for a while. It's been 2 years now.
For by a minute, I mean 2 years. It's been 2 years that we've listened to this.
The main content that this podcast opinion comes from happened January 2022. So,
and we've been talking about it since January of 2022.
I've been pretty about it.
Let's do it.
Disney does all these live actions. You're a big Disney fan.
I'm a big Disneyland fan. I just need to make that distinction.
You're a big Disney fan too.
It depends. But anyway.
You like your classics.
Disney's making live actions. Go ahead. I like my classics. Yes, there. I'll give you that.
You like your classics. Disney is making all these live actions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Little Mermaid,
Lion King, Cinderella. Cinderella was good. I liked that.
Jungle Book or
Jungle Cruise.
No, it was Jungle Book.
Oh, and Jungle Book. They've done both.
Oh, they did Jungle Cruise?
Oh, but I guess Jungle Cruise wasn't a movie before. It was just a ride.
So anyway, they've done a lot of live actions.
Yes.
And then they're coming out, or they're at the time going to come out, and I think they're coming out with now Snow White.
Yes.
A live action.
But notice the difference in title.
What is
Snow White?
Is it not Seven Little Dwarfs at all?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Who's the main actor now?
And I don't think it's Seven Little Dwarfs. I think it's Seven Dwarfs.
I say Seven Little Dwarfs.
Yeah, we keep on saying that. No, Seven. It's Snow White. Just Snow White. There's no Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Interesting. Why is this though?
Yeah, why is this?
Because I feel
Zachary, tell us why.
A podcast came out back in January 2022.
Mm-hmm.
A very well-known actor in the dwarf community and in the world, Peter Dinklage, came out and spoke against this movie.
And just give people a background of who Peter Dinklage is.
Peter Dinklage, main actor in Game of Thrones. He had a role in the movie Elf, and he's going to have a main role in the upcoming movie. Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, I love Jennifer Lawrence.
No, what's the movie that Jennifer Lawrence was in?
You're right. He was in the Hunger Games.
Yes,
the prequel. Yes, it's already out. I need to go watch that. I should have done research, man. I should have gone and watched that.
Yeah, so he's a big actor there. But he spoke out against that movie.
The Snow White, not the Hunger Games.
He spoke out against Snow White when it was in production and they were interviewing, actors with dwarfism to play the Seven Little Dwarfs. He basically said on this podcast it was a backward story and Disney should not be producing this. And he praised them for making Snow White a Hispanic actor.
Right.
What do you know her name?
Rachel Ziegler, I think.
Yeah, Hispanic, this Cuban. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a diverse Snow White.
Yeah.
He praised them for that. But then he said, we shouldn't even be telling this story in the first place. Get rid of Snow White. We've already told it. It's a bunch of, little people in a cave. Totally disagree with him.
Yeah.
I disagreed at the time. I almost wish I spoke out at the time because there was a big uproar at the time. A lot of little people were for his opinion. A lot of little people were against his opinion. A lot of actors in the LPA community, in the LP community, were against what he said. That's jobs for them that were taken away. That's opportunity for them to get on a Disney resume.
So you're against his opinion of scrap it.
I'm against his opinion of scrapping it.
Because you then now are taking jobs away from seven people.
Yes, with dwarfism. Sorry, Disney didn't scrap the movie. They just scrapped the part with Seven Little Dwarfs.
Yes.
Seven Little Dwarfs. Seven dwarfs.
Yes.
Okay. They just scrapped the Seven Dwarfs.
And so now it's seven magical creatures or something like that.
And there's one dwarf actor in there, which is fine. Everything's fine. But I think if you're going to tell the story of Seven Little Dwarfs.
Seven dwarfs.
Man, why do I say that?
I don't know.
Seven dwarves. If you're going to tell the story.
Shout out to the Johnstons or something.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's honestly, I think what you're thinking of.
Gosh.
Anyway, sorry. That's my word vomit having to correct you, but.
No, correct me on that one. Anyway, Peter Dinklage spoke out against it in a podcast. In my defense, the podcaster, the interviewer in the podcast, maybe wasn't understanding Peter's point. And so then Peter said it again, but a little bit more aggression. And then it turned into this big thing.
Right.
And then, so they're being progressive by updating Snow White. Be progressive by updating the dwarfs.
Right.
You could tell the story of the seven dwarfs without putting them in a cave, without making it all magical and a bunch of hermits out in the wilderness mining. Okay. Put at the time. So my point is someone like Peter saying this, I don't know why he said this. Maybe he really thinks the Seven Little Dwarfs should not be said. Was there other motives? He's in the industry. He's in the business. He's a major actor with dwarfism. I don't know why.
I think that's my only defense of his opinion. And honestly, I don't know the full context of his opinion. And I don't know everything that was said, But that could have been the context of like, we've done all of these movies, just move on. If you're not going to tell the tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with actors and actresses who have dwarfism, then just move on.
Well, okay, they were going to, but he thinks that whole story just shouldn't be told.
Yeah, because it's already been told.
So I
see his point there.
Yeah, interesting.
But back to your point of like, you have just now taken away 7 jobs, or 6 because they still have 1, but you've taken away jobs from people within the LP community.
Yeah, and I think there's power in, if you're trying to what's it called, like show diversity and promote and all that. Being on camera is very powerful. Mm-hmm. Being on TV is very powerful. Still, even if it's not shown in the best way, we can correct that. We can adjust. We move forward. It's still a very powerful thing. Even though some people might say you're not being portrayed the right way, there are still parts of the population that will simply look at you and be like, you are on TV. You're awesome. That's so cool. I respect you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They'll see past that you're playing. So in the LPA community, and me personally, the M word, midget, is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. And some people will be like, oh, don't be like that, Zach, PC. Don't be all PC on us, this and that. In my opinion, I'm not hugely upset by it. You know what you're saying, though. Mm-hmm. You know how you're using the word. Okay. So some people will be like, hey, they'll say it in not a negative way, and fine. I'm not going to get all up in arms about it. But when you hear someone use that word,
unless they're over the age of like 70.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, when you hear someone say the word midget, look at the tone and how they're saying it. Is it in a negative way? Are they describing someone in a negative way? Or are they just describing someone? Usually there's a negative. There's hey, those midgets, or that midget. And then ask me why I don't like the word.
Right.
Okay. Because most of the time it's said it's
a derogatory term.
It's a derogatory, and it's said to demean someone. Yeah. To, NFL players say it. Even comedy, nighttime comedy people say it, and it's usually in a negative light. It's to make fun of someone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why we don't like the word. That's why I don't like the word.
Right.
Okay. Usually when it's said, it's not a nice thing. So I wanted to say that. Anyway, back to the movie. Yeah, I think it's power. So even though someone's not portrayed totally correct, there's still power in being on television. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think, with Peter saying that and taking away that opportunity for people with dwarfism to be portrayed in a positive light in a Disney film was a missed opportunity. Yeah. It was a missed opportunity for actors with dwarfism, actresses with dwarfism. And I was very worked up about this. I was worked up also with Peter saying it. I don't know him. I've never met the guy or anything. But for him, Peter Dinklage played Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. And that's the pinnacle, in my opinion, of dwarf acting.
Yeah. We are genuine fans of Peter Dinklage. Yeah. Like we truly.
That wasn't just a pinnacle of dwarf acting. That was a pinnacle of acting.
It was just acting.
He won a Grammy or something.
Not a Grammy. That's singing. He won, maybe, I don't know what he won. An Oscar or a tone. I don't know.
Golden Globe.
I don't know.
He won an award for that show. So
he was, but that's the thing I think that we are such huge advocates for is Peter, I think, brought this character to life because he was a great actor. Yeah. Like it wasn't just because he had dwarfism and that's why we loved him. It was like, no, we actually loved the character of Tyrion and Peter did a fantastic job bringing him to life.
I love that he had dwarfism.
Yeah.
And then he also captivated the audience with his acting.
And he played one of the strongest characters on that series.
Powerful. So now for him then to squash these other jobs like he did. And I don't know if that was his intention or what, but listening to the podcast, which I did, that he spoke, a lot of these articles will say he said this in the spot. I went to that podcast and listened to the clip.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it could have been taken out of context. It could have been, he was just trying to emphasize a point, but no matter what was said, there was still a repercussion for him saying something.
Yeah. Disney didn't scrap the movie altogether, which is like kind of what he was promoting.
Right.
They just took away all the dwarf actors.
And to call them magical creatures is even, I mean, that's more offensive to me than the M word. Like,
you just replace 7 actors with dwarfism, the 7 dwarfs with magical like that's not helping anything.
Because wasn't the Webster dictionary of dwarf or elf, wasn't magical creatures used in the definition?
Dwarf, if you look up dwarf,
well, I don't think anymore. It used to be, but then now like our society as a whole has evolved to like realize, oh, that's kind of an offensive way to describe people with dwarfism. Let's change the narrative. Just the same as like the M word is just an archaic word to use,
Yeah. So, and I don't know if he thought his comments were going to have that big of a repercussion.
True. On just a podcast. Like it's,
who knows?
Who knows? And he could have been frustrated behind the scenes. Like we never know the context of conversations that are happening.
I would like to know, like, was he offered a role or was he not offered a role? And did that play a part in his comments? And
I think that it's important to know, maybe it's not, you tell me if it's not, but I think that it is difficult for someone like Peter in that role because he has a ton of responsibility, because there are so many kids, adults, teenagers, all the things that have like these people look up to him.
I wonder though if he embraces that though.
And that's like, he's not an
active participant.
Like to our eyes, he's not an active participant to LPA.
Yeah.
And so, like you have this group of people at LPA that I know look up to him as just a human.
So that's my thing. If you're not a participant in LPA in the LP community,
no
in
judgment.
any way, no judgment whatsoever. But making such a comment like he did, picking and choosing when he can come into the discussion and not. Anyway, that I was worked up about it. I was like, this is, if you're going to make that movie, if you're going to make that, the discussion, the debate is, should they make that movie? Which
they probably just shouldn't, just move on. Yeah.
But they are.
So
if you are, this is how it should be done. Total missed opportunity. I'm not a writer. I'm not creative. There's a million ways you could have made the 7 dwarfs look not magical, not stereotypical.
Yeah.
You could have gotten men and women in there, men and women, dwarf actors, actresses.
And I think that also would be an interesting topic to like talk to somebody, because was someone like Peter offered a role, but then you have this very strong actor in a position. How do you fill the other 6 spots that are with that actor? And I like, not to say that there aren't people with dwarfism out there that aren't fantastic actors and actresses, because there are. Like, we've seen them in movies and like there are. However, I like, that's hard. That's a hard position to fill.
Think that maybe he wasn't offered a role. Like they couldn't find, it would have looked awkward on camera.
Which also is a missed opportunity, because that would have been amazing.
Yeah. There's a million other ways they could have done it. It's sad that, in my opinion, it's sad. The most popular dwarf, in my opinion, on the planet, Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
The second most popular, the 7 low dwarfs. And those could...
The 7 dwarfs.
The 7 dwarfs.
Snow White. The 7 dwarfs that accompany Snow White.
Okay. It could have switched.
You could have had a huge.
So, and to now scrap that from, the history.
But it's also, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the film actually comes out.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, me either. But I don't, there's been so much political
Oh yeah.
and like honestly personal things with this movie that just people I think are turned off by
the main
it.
actor has said some weird things.
Has said some
interviews.
really weird things.
Yeah.
And so, but either way, it'll be interesting because she actually is just the actress. She doesn't have anything to do with the production or the writing or the directing or anything of this film. So it will be interesting to see.
I think I'm going to boycott it though.
Okay. I'm with you.
It's Snow White and the
stand with
Seven
you.
Dwarfs. Like you need to have 7 dwarfs in there.
It's not just Snow White.
Yeah, it's not just Snow
It's not
White.
just
Like
Snow White.
there are people with dwarfism that, you know, blood, sweat, and tears made that story continue to this day.
Yeah.
And to then take them away from
Well, see, and that's my one that I'm like, it's been told too many times. So I do agree with like, it should have just been scrapped.
Yeah.
It should have just like, it's been told in so many different ways, comedic, real, animated.
What's
all
our
the
other show
things.
that we watch? Outlander.
Yeah.
And
Do
we
you
love.
want to bring Outlander into it?
But that's my point though. We love. So
we like fully support the idea of having LPs in film and TV. Like that's
it's powerful.
so cool. It's so powerful. And I want my kids to grow up. And
I want to add anyone with a disability or looks different than the norm. It's a powerful
100%.
image.
Yeah.
The more you normalize seeing that, you know, and seeing it in your day to day or you're out about shopping or whatever.
And I think that that's like our biggest argument also is I want to see people with dwarfism represented in films and TV, not reality, but films, like movies, productions in a normal setting like this, having a conversation. And it's not, it's not the butt of the joke. And it's not the,
that's the thing with the live action.
Yeah.
In a normal setting, those look like actual people, little people that you would see out in the grocery store because it's a live action.
Yeah.
How many kids are watching Disney Plus, watching 7?
No, but I'm talking about on, I don't watch current TV shows, but I'm talking about The Bachelor.
Oh yeah.
There was a Do you know what I mean? Okay, or then like a show like Modern Family or The Office, like some scripted series that a dwarf is just there to be there.
There is.
That's what I know there's examples of that, but why is it like that's what I want to see? I don't want to see this magical creature.
I get what you're saying.
You know, I want to see just it normalized, like just normal.
Yeah, Louder Milk. Louder Milk on Netflix has a dwarf actress as like a normal character.
There was on Call the Midwife. There were 2 actors. There were 2. Yeah, it was a husband and wife that not in real life in the show. It was 2 people with achondroplasia, and they were on Call the Midwife, and it was so much fun to watch that episode. Yeah, like cool. Just watching and I think they talked about double dominance and true real life things that affect people with dwarfism.
So way cool we have dwarfism. We're part of the community. Way cool for us to see. Yeah. Educational for everyone else to see. 7 little dwarfs.
7 dwarfs.
Why am I saying that?
I don't know. Because Johnston's. Hey, 7 little Johnston's.
7 little Johnston's.
That's why you're saying
That's literally why I'm saying it. That is so annoying. Okay. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids are watching Disney Plus, watching that show. Yeah. They go, Mom, Dad, educational moment right there. Yeah, they have those are little people. Those are people
this with dwarfism. This is what they're all about. Right.
Yeah. Like it's a visual. It's a real visual for them.
I just have to bring this up.
Yep.
I'm a huge Outlander fan. It's just, I love Outlander.
We are. We are. Too.
Well, okay. But the last couple seasons I've watched
I'm the one that brought it in.
You fully brought it in. And I was like, that's the dumbest show I've ever seen. Yeah. And then I came back and was like, this is awesome. Anyway, so I'm a huge Outlander fan. And the most current season I was watching by myself.
Yep.
Zach was kind of, I think anyway, I was watching by myself, and there is a moment in the last season that just aired that Marcelly is having a baby, and everyone thinks, I have not read the books. I know there's books, but I have not read them up until this point. And Marcelly is having a baby, and I'm thinking, oh, the baby's going to die. It's like this really dramatic scene, oh, crazy. And she has the baby. She hands it to oh my gosh, Fergus.
Yep.
Gives the baby to Fergus, and Fergus is French and says something in French. I forget, but it was basically like small one. And I freaked out. The baby had dwarfism, and I freaked out. I was like, this is so cool. Called Zachary in, freaking out. Like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. Because this is like a show I've been a fan of for years.
Way cool.
And Henri Christian was born, and it was way cool.
That led like Fergus.
The conversations were so realistic and so well done. I mean, Fergus struggled with like the guilt that he passed on this, you know, he had guilt that, you know, I don't know if that matters, but anyway, so they show his like frustration and guilt about passing this on to his son. But then also they deal with having the boys on the ridge. They thought he was a fairy. They were like testing to see if he was a fairy, and they put him in a basket and put him down the river and to see if he would float. And Jamie pulled them all in, and they're like, no, this is my kin. This is my grandson. Like, don't mess with him. And I just thought that was so beautiful and perfect to educate people on what dwarfism is.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that and social media and TV. Point. And, you know, it was, but also I also was like, hey, if you need Henri Christian, I've got a 6-year-old who'd be so good, but never happened.
Yeah. Well, would he be good though?
No, he would actually probably hate it.
I was saying, he doesn't want to be on camera anymore.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't like that. Never mind. Never mind. But it was very cool. It was a very cool moment for us as parents, for me as a mom, like just to see. I just thought they portrayed it so well, and it was so educational, and
it was great. No, fantastic. That's a great example. So having people with dwarfism in film is a cool thing.
It's so cool.
And even though the story isn't totally accurate or not 100% appropriate, whatever it is, updated, whatever you want to call it, there's still power in that. And I don't think we should say no to that.
Right.
You know, as we adjust, we make adjustments, you know,
evolve,
you keep evolving. Eventually, if you get too much of a stink, they I don't want to deal with it. You know, the networks, the studios, it's just gone. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening a little bit. Like, we don't know how to touch this, because if we do anything
like one person ruins it,
an elf or dwarf character, whatever stereotype, then we're going to get canceled. Yeah. So now, do you know what? We just won't cast that player at all, that character at all, or that actor at all, you know? So that's my thing. It was a
missed opportunity, man.
It was a missed opportunity. It just wasn't well thought out. And I think there was a moment there. It could have, honestly, forget Snow White. 7 dwarves.
Tell that story.
Yeah. It should have been the 7 dwarves.
Get rid of Snow White and just put.
Yeah. Why don't we just get rid of Snow White?
Yeah.
Who says Snow White's the big character in that movie? Honestly, though.
It's kind of true. She's coming into their territory.
Yeah.
So.
They have a whole scene in the classic before she even comes in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just get her out of there.
I don't know. I know this is like 2 years ago, drama.
We're rehashing it, though.
I am. I was upset.
But I think it's important to, I don't know, voice the opinion of having. I think that's something that your show, and I know we don't want to talk about the show a ton on here, but I think that's one of the things that your show has brought so much light to the world of having dwarfism is just kind of normal. It can be normal, you know? And I think that the more people that watched your show, the more they were familiarized with
100%
LPs. And I think that that's so cool. Like just seeing it in social media and on television and in film.
But we still had our critics, even though so you could argue we were portraying little people in the right way, not stereotypical, all that. And we still had critics. We still had people write nasty comments to us. So it's like, you can't get caught up. In my opinion, you can't get caught up. You're never going to make 100% of the people in the world 100%.
Yeah. You're not going to win with everyone.
And, you know, whatever. There's always going to be some idiot out there that says something stupid. You cannot let that 1, 2, 3 people control the narrative and stop us from doing what we do, progressing. Another reason, you give 6 actors with dwarfism a Disney salary for a movie, like, that's elevating. That's you elevate you're in the industry, you get more of a say, more of a voice. It just grows from there.
Yeah.
So not just the visual on camera for all the viewers, the visual in the industry that promotes
the connections
media,
that could be made.
the connections that could be made. Like it, yeah, I was really bummed when and I'm going to boycott the movie. So,
okay. I'm with you I'll sit with you on that.
Well, we can't wait for the next season of Outlander to come out though.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But see, they kind of put Henri Christian, Marcelly, and Fergus, didn't they take him to New Bern or something?
Yeah. See?
I'm like, bring them back to Wilmington or wherever they are. Bring them back to I forget where we are in the season, but I cannot. But I've also read the books now. So since Outlander came out and Henri Christian, I'm pretty sure, see, that's the thing is now I'm like actively seeking out the books after reading that story or watching that story. I'm like, I have to know what happens. I think that's one of the coolest things though, too, is I now have actively seeked out the books and I've been reading. Yeah. And so I'm very excited for the next couple of seasons, but it's going to be very depressing. I know.
Don't spoil it.
I won't. You guys should watch Outlander though. It's fantastic. Yeah. I wish they would announce when the new season's coming out because we're waiting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They haven't done that yet. Anyway, I think this was a great episode. I'm glad that you finally got 2 years worth of frustrations off your chest. And I don't know. I hope we bring a little bit of light just to LPs in film.
Yeah. It's, anyone in like even that new show, the micro wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but just there's a lot of people that watch that and could say, oh, they're on TV. Look at them on stage. I have respect for them, and there's a lot of goons out there too, but
that is with anything too.
We can't wait for this perfect settings all the time, especially people with dwarfism and marginalized people. In my opinion, take what you get, improve on it. You get season 1, you can improve the image from there.
And also even with, the micro wrestling and that whole dynamic, you are, like you said, you take that. We might not agree with it, but take it and maybe they do something awesome with it. Maybe they bring some sort of awareness to LPs that no one ever would have seen if they didn't have a television show.
And a community, bring awareness to a community that probably isn't like listening to following LPA or following certain messaging, watching our show. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
you're reaching a different dynamic or a different audience. Like you're reaching a different.
Wrestling's a huge. I haven't realized this, but wrestling's a huge thing. It's
huge.
WWE, like
it's just we're not into it, but like there's a lot of people that are
like randomly.
Yeah.
When this whole thing happened, Fox News pulled up a dwarf that does WWE wrestling as the response to all this. I'm like, that's who you guys got? Like Fox News.
Yeah.
Whatever you say about Fox News. Fox News, the main, that was their, which is great for him and everything. Like for me, that's when I started realizing, I'm like,
people are really into it.
Yeah. Like, is that, and I don't know. It was interesting to me. So yeah, I think it was a huge missed opportunity from Peter Dinklage in a way. But Disney, I was bummed. I'm not going to watch the movie.
Yeah. We'll stand firm in that.
But any other films coming out, shows that have people with dwarfism.
Well, okay. Peter does have a show out right now, The Hunger Games. The prequel. I want to see that because I loved The Hunger Games and I kind of forgot about it until right now. So I'm
kind of bitter on him now, though.
But also Rachel Ziegler, I think, is in that one, too. So
I know. She said some weird things, too, about the Southern.
Well, people say weird things.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is a good episode.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for riding it out with us and being here with us.
They're learning. This first season is about learning more.
They're learning. We're learning.
We're learning how to do this. You're learning more about who we are and where our opinions are and
100%.
What we feel about certain things. So.
And they're important to us. Like we're passionate about it. We're raising kids who have dwarfism and we want them to grow up in a world that they feel accepted for
I
who they
wrote
are.
an Instagram post so many times about this topic.
Zach writes so many. For all of you, it'll be a 3-sentence Instagram post. It'll take him at least an hour and a half to figure it out.
I actually wrote monologue for this though, and I end up not posting.
And 90% of the time he doesn't post it.
And I don't care. Like
But it's cool that you finally got an opportunity to kind of voice your concerns over it and put it out there, like in defense of people who.
I should have voiced it though at the time. Maybe I could have made a difference.
Yeah. Well, now we have a podcast, so the next time that happens, you can just.
Okay. All right.
Well, make sure you guys are subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you for being here. Come back next week. We're excited for next week's topic. Yeah. Do your best.
Forget the rest.